And welcome everyone to our Monday chat session here at NCAA.com and March Madness. I'm Andy Katz. Looking at the AP poll and the Power 36, going to take a couple of your questions here over the next few minutes. First of all, another wild week. Nine top 25 teams lost on Saturday alone. This is the new normal for this season. We'll see if it carries into next season or not. But hey, here's the deal. Top 10, in my eyes, for the most part, stayed similar outside of Louisville bouncing out. Louisville had a really rough week, losing to Clemson and Georgia Tech. So some red flags for the Cardinals. Although the Cardinals are experiencing what a lot of these other top teams in their leagues are experiencing, save in the Big 12 with Baylor and Kansas, and obviously Gonzaga and Dayton and San Diego State. But teams in the Big 10, Big East, not necessarily Kentucky and the SEC, but certainly the Big 10, Big East, you're going on losing streaks. That's what's happening this season. So, Baylor, Gonzaga, San Diego State, Kansas in some order, Dayton, Duke, Maryland, Kentucky, Florida State, Penn State in the top 10. So, it's right about something. I was on the Nittany Lions at the beginning of the season. Oregon, I moved them up. Great weekend for the Ducks. Huge weekend coming up where they're going to the Arizona schools. Very impressed with what Creighton has done. Auburn, yes, they lost to Missouri, but still, they've obviously been playing very well at home, playing with a little fire here. Michigan climbing way up for me. They're on back play when Isaiah Livers is back. They're looking like they did earlier in the season. You know, and then you get into Colorado, which I think ultimately was hard to win, obviously. You know, Seton Hall loses a couple in a row. Villanova had lost the previous week. So, I don't know. I go back and forth with those schools. BYU, all in on the Cougs, 23 in AP. I got them at 19. Look what I got. I got Arizona State at 20. Arizona State, they're on a great run right now. And Arizona. Pac-12 is wild. 4 teams, 4 losses, and all bunched up, and then you got the Oregon schools this weekend at the Arizona schools. So we're going to know a lot a week from today. Marquette, Iowa. I moved Butler down. Georgetown. How about that win? I was there Saturday. Unbelievable. No Omer Yurtseven, no Mac McClung, and they go in and win at Butler. Cincinnati, Houston, right up there with me right now. A little down on LSU right now. Push them down. URI, I kept them 36 because they had one loss, and it was at Dayton. Really looking forward to that return game. I'm going to check that out in 2 weeks. How about this one on the back part? UCLA. UCLA is right there, okay, they're right there to make a run for a top 4 seed in the Pac-12. They're playing great right now. So why not give them a little love? Loyola Chicago, Northern Iowa. Loyola Chicago beats Northern Iowa, but I don't think Northern Iowa should drop out. I already heard from some Panther fans saying, how come I dropped them further down? But I know it was an overtime game in Loyola. Still, the Valley, let me give you a scenario. If Loyola wins in St. Louis, I think Northern Iowa is going to get in. So I think you're going to get 2 out of the Valley, which, if you're the Valley, you're kind of rooting for Loyola. But anyway, want to keep that in there. Ohio State I have 24. They got them 25. They're back playing great. Wisconsin, Michigan State, I still have them in the 36. They're out of the top 25, which is crazy when you think about that they're out of the top 25. All right, let's take some questions. Hunter Parley, who's the best team in the country? Right now it's Baylor. Baylor plays this week against Kansas at home. We talked about predictions on March Madness 365. You can see that hear that on Tuesday, and we will post it. So, Connor Patrick, does the rise of ASU almost make Virginia look a lock? Well, I think Virginia's going to get in right now as they continue to scrape by in the ACC, beating Notre Dame in overtime, beating Carolina. So I like Virginia getting in, but I'm telling you right now I got 4 in the ACC. That's it. It's cyclical. This has happened in other leagues. But just Duke, Florida State, Louisville, Virginia right now. That's it. Efrain Rosa. If Gonzaga, it flew up past me. Something about if they're going to both win out. They're both going to be number one seeds. The question will be who will be East, who will be West. Matthew Underwood, do I think Florida ends the season winning the SEC? God, these things are flying by. I'm sorry. I don't. I think they'll get in, though. Terrell Reese, still hold out hope with DePaul. Will they make the tournament? No. They're at the bottom of the Big East. Bud Steele, how about Michigan? I mentioned Michigan. Michigan, to me, is playing like they did earlier in the season. Livers is fantastic right now. How many teams in the WCC go to the tournament? I'll say 3. I think Gonzaga, BYU, which, by the way, play this Saturday in Provo. We don't know about Killian Tilly. But I think St. Mary's will get there. St. Mary's cannot fall apart. Big win over Pacific over the weekend. Kyle, any hope for Syracuse? I think they're going to win the ACC tournament. Matt, does Georgetown get in? If so, what kind of seed? If they get in, they feel like a Dayton team to me. They just got to keep winning. They don't have any bad losses. And they've played so many games shorthanded. So I think the Hoyas are right there as a potential bubble team. Derek, how far does Kentucky go? Kentucky can win the whole thing. They're one of the teams that can win the whole thing. How many teams can the A-10 make it? I will say 3. Question is, who's the third? Dayton and Rhode Island, I think, will be in. Well, Dayton for sure. They're going to be 2. I think Rhode Island gets in. The question is VCU or Richmond, or another team winning it. Tim Tollin, does Miami have a chance? No. Got to win the ACC tournament. Can Temple be a bid stealer? James asks. Got to win the AAC. Can they? Probably not. David, is Iowa dark horse? Offensively, yes, with Luka Garza. That was a huge win on Sunday at Minnesota. Massive. Ryan Webb, Indiana Hoosiers, question mark. We all got that question mark with Indiana. Big question mark. Right now, I would say they are in barely. Rhett, will Illinois make it? Yes. They've lost 4 in a row. The next team's at Penn State, but they're going to make it. Jason Carter, Florida State possible 2 seed? Yes. Definitely. Definitely a possibility. Where's West Virginia at? I took them out. I know. Mountaineer fans are going to be mad at me. But, yes, they lost to one of the best teams in the country at home. They didn't look good at all. They're struggling right now. They're on a losing skid. They can play their way back into my rankings. But they'll be fine. Let's see. Hunter, I know I'm giving you another one here, but it's flying by. Who wins the Pac-12? Ultimately, I feel like Colorado will. Schedule kind of favors them a little bit here down the stretch. Steven, is Maryland a Final Four team? Yes, definitely. Why is Baylor higher than Gonzaga? Because of their schedule and their win at Kansas, I think, is the difference maker right now. How about NC State, asked Marcus Baxter? No. Bad loss Sunday night to BC. I know you're going to say, what if they beat Duke this week? They still got a lot of work to do. I'm not saying they can't get into it at large, but they got a lot of work to do. Is Duke a 1 seed, asks Tyler Evans. They can be, win the ACC, and San Diego State and or Gonzaga lose. Duke could certainly be up at the 1 line. Miranda wants to know who wins the Big Ten. Right now, I'll lean Maryland. Although the schedule favors Penn State, I say that Maryland just won at Michigan State. So they got rid of their toughest game. They still, if I'm not mistaken, have to go to Ohio State, have to go to Minnesota. They have Michigan at home. They have Michigan State at home. Oh, they got to go to Rutgers. So can Penn State really win out? That's the big question. If Penn State can win out, it's going to be hard for Maryland just because I think they're going to at least take another loss just because their schedule is harder. All right, let's take a couple more. All right, Trevor, who's my Naismith Player of the Year? I go back and forth. Wow. I'm going to say this. Right now, I think it's one of 4 players. Luka Garza, Obi Toppin, Miles Powell, Marcus Howard. And, I mean, if I had to vote for today, I might go Toppin. Last week, I was going Powell. I can't remember a time this late in the season where I was completely, flummoxed here as to which player to pick. I will say this, I've said this before. I think we're going to see a year, because there's, see if I can remember all of them, Naismith, Wooden, Rupp, Sporting News, AP, Robertson. That's 6, sort of that have this longevity of these awards. I mean, we'll name one, but I think we're going to see different winners. I really do. Can Creighton make the Sweet 16? Asked Tony. Yes. They shoot the basketball with Balak, Zagorowski, Alexander. They definitely can make the Sweet 16. Let's see. Trevor, why don't I have Pritchard? Well, I have him as an All-American, probably the 5th spot on the first team. But it's changed. A couple weeks ago, I had him in the top 3. So, could he still win it? Sure. He certainly could. Let's see. Amy, my mind is blown by the strength of the Big Ten. How many Big Ten teams do I see in the Sweet 16? I'm going to say, because it's always hard to win that second game, especially in a league that has so many teams in. So I will say there will at least be 3 of the, what we're going to probably get at least 10 or 11. I will say at least 3 will be in the Sweet 16, maybe 4. So maybe a 4th of the Sweet 16 is the Big Ten. Martin, Nick Richards, I think he's going to be the SEC Player of the Year. Wow. All right. Let's see. Take 1 or 2 more. Scott Magruder, Louisville in the Final Four. No, don't see it. Sorry. Did initially, about a month ago. Lucas, Kentucky tournament seed. I say they end up on the 2 line. That's where I think they'll end up. Austin, who wins the ACC regular season? I'm going to go with Duke. Now that they've beaten Florida State, Duke doesn't play another ranked team the rest of the season. They're done with Louisville and Florida State. Virginia still could be difficult, but still. Who's winning the Summit, Corey? I'm going to go, I think I had North Dakota State. Either North Dakota State or South Dakota State, but why not North Dakota State? Where will Rutgers rank, asks Jay. I could easily see them on that 8-9 line. No one's going to want to play them if they defend the way they can and don't get overwhelmed by the moment in the NCAA tournament. All right, let's see. JR, you saying this top 36 is a joke. Have you watched them play lately? They're playing as well as anyone in the Pac-12 right now. So, why not give them a little love? They're not making the tournament. They got to win the Pac-12 tournament, but it's okay. Couple Big 12. Will Oklahoma and Arkansas get in? Bubblicious. They're bubblicious. Neil, I answered that one. I think Colorado will win the Pac-12. All right. Let's go one more. Who wins the SEC? I said Kentucky. And Corey disagrees with me. He says their ceiling is a 3, not a 2. Beck Martin says, what about Stephen F. Austin? No one's going to want to play them. Is Northern Iowa at large? I say yes, as long as they lose to Loyola Chicago. And let's see. I'll reiterate this thing, Chuck. How many ACC teams do I think? 5 or 6? 4. Yikes. So anyway. All right. Check out all our content on March Madness and all our social media handles. We've got March Madness 365. Guests include Patrick Ewing from Georgetown, Malachi Flynn from San Diego State, Matt Howard. Great conversation I had with him 10 years after leading Butler with Gordon Hayward and Sheldon Mack to the national championship game in an epic final losing to Duke. Chad Aycock and I from Turner Sports discuss our predictions Judy McLeod from Conference USA, the commissioner, very unique what Conference USA is doing with their bonus play here in the last 2 weeks of their regular season and their conference tournament with the men and women. Interest conversation was also on the men's basketball selection committee. And our headlines of the week and Mike Katz ranks top 10 teams right now that I see winning the national championship. All right, everyone, appreciate all the engagement and checking all our content out. Going down to the wire, 3 more weeks of the regular season beginning today for most of the conferences. A lot of conferences only have 2 more weeks. And remember, the Mountain West Conference starts its conference tournament a week earlier, kind of like the Big Ten a couple of years ago. So we'll know whether or not San Diego State's going to be a 1 seed a week before everyone else gets into their power conference play. All right. As always, thanks for everything you guys out there in engaging and reading our content and digesting it and debating it. It's okay. You can be constructively critical. We appreciate it. I'm Andy Katz. Thanks for watching.